Senator Lee. Senator Coons.
Mr. Chairman,
Just one second.
one more request for introduction of a letter from another Attorney General on rescinding the memorandum. This one from Ohio Attorney General Yost.
Without objection, Senator Coons.
Thank you, Chairman Durbin, Ranking Member Grassley. Thank you, Attorney General Garland. As you well know, oversight of the executive branch is an important part of the duties of this body, and so I just want to commend the Chair and Ranking for prioritizing this and you for your time here. While at times challenging, this process is key to fulfilling our constitutional responsibilities, and we know that we have substantial work to do to restore confidence in our democratic institutions, and I think your engagement here today is a key part of that. So thank you for your diligent and thorough answers to the questions that are being presented today. Let me just start with a question about some characterizations that are being made here and in other settings about the trajectory of the Biden administration in terms of responding to violent crime. Some are asserting that the Department of Justice is focused on defunding the police or hamstringing or undermining law enforcement. As an appropriator, my impression instead is that the president requested an additional $388 million for the cops hiring program, an increase of $200 million over the previous year. The CJS PROPS that was just posted includes $100 million for new community violence intervention programs. And the Biden administration ensured that over $350 billion previously available grants under the CARES Act could be used to hire more law enforcement personnel at the state and local level, even beyond pre-pandemic levels. Could you just speak briefly to how these different programs and initiatives are in fact designed to prevent violent crime, designed to support our state and local partners, and how these investments could work to assist, support, and protect law enforcement in conducting their obligations and duties in our communities in an appropriate way?
Yes, Senator, I thought that I would just add one more pile of requests there, which was for over $500 million for the Burn JAG grants, which also go directly to state and local law enforcement. So yes, look, we are very concerned about violent crime. This is an area which is primarily the responsibility of state and local law enforcement, but nonetheless has bipartisan support and has had this since the 1990s for federal government involvement to help prevent. We are, as a consequence, we have historically since then and accelerating now, lashed up with our state and local partners in task forces and joint organizations in every city and every community in the United States to help our local law enforcement protect their communities against violence. We also have federal, obviously, laws which help us in this regard. These include money that we've requested for DEA, for ATF, for the FBI, for the Marshal Service, all increases to allow us to support these circumstances.
And as we've discussed before, my hometown is one where I was responsible for local law enforcement when I was an elected county official. We appreciate these additional investments in the partnership with federal law enforcement and think it's an important part of our work to combat violent crime all over this country. I want to turn to immigration. You've been asked by a number of my colleagues about it. There seem to be some who think that anything we do to help migrants will necessarily make the border less secure, more chaotic, but I disagree. I think it is possible for us to reduce multi-year court backlogs, improve access to counsel, improve the humanitarian aspects of handling migrants, and build a system that is orderly, consistent with the rule of law, more humane and more fair. I'd love to understand how we in Congress can help you through legislation, as well as through funding to reduce immigration court backlogs, improve access to counsel, improve the process, and also contribute to securing our southern border. Do you have thoughts you care to share briefly, or would you be willing to share those with us in writing?
Well, I'll be happy to have the department get back to you in writing, but I will say we have requested additional funds so that we can put an additional 600 personnel, including 100 immigration judges, into our Executive Office of Immigration Review so that we can do the kind of acceleration that you're talking about. We've made a number of internal changes with respect to the way cases are handled in order to accelerate that. But we do need more money in that respect, and I've made that plea already to the Appropriations Committee, but be happy to get back to you in more detail.
And just superficially, is it your understanding that when applicants for asylum have access to counsel or to legal counseling, the odds that they return for their final disposition and the odds that they will have a fair and appropriate process go up?
Well, I certainly think the odds that they have a fair and appropriate process would go up. It seems quite logical that the odds of them returning for their proceedings would go up because they would know they would have that opportunity. I don't know any of the statistics about that, though.
Understood. On intellectual property, as you know, long a concern of mine, I just briefly wanted to mention, back in December of 2019, DOJ Antitrust issued a statement jointly with NIST and the Department of Commerce and the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, recognizing that when a patent involved in voluntary standard-setting efforts, these are typically global efforts around critical communications technologies and others, that all legal remedies should be available when a patent's infringed. And that policy ensures competition, incentivizes participation in standard-setting activities, and plays a vital role in bringing the benefits of innovation to Americans. It's also critical for our global competition with China and other countries. I'm hearing DOJ has imminent plans to abandon that position or reverse it and replace it with one that does not embrace the availability of all remedies. Given that there are nominees in process, likely now for both AAG for antitrust and now for Patent and Trademark Office, would you commit to waiting until there are Senate-confirmed leaders in these positions before a change in policy?
I would love to have Senate confirmed leadership in the antitrust division, and everything you can do to make that go swifter would be greatly appreciated. I have to say this is a bit outside the area of my own expertise, but nothing, I assume any such thing would have to come through me before it would be announced. Nothing like that has come to my office yet.
Well, I'd welcome the opportunity to stay in communication with it. My last quick question relates to the Office for Access to Justice, which has in the past, under a previous administration, been a leader in debtors' prisons and the criminalization of poverty. Tomorrow, this committee will hold a vote on the Driving for Opportunity Act, a bipartisan bill I'm leading with Senator Wicker and a number of members of this committee, and it will make progress in terms of ways in which a decades-old practice of stripping people of their driver's licenses for unpaid court-related fees or fines, which advances the criminalization of poverty, will be reversed. Could you say just a moment about the plans for the Office of Access to Justice and your view about the importance of continued progress in criminal justice reform?
Yes, Senator. Equal justice under law is inscribed in the pediment above the Supreme Court, and it's a core principle of American democracy. But you can't have equal justice under law if you don't have access to justice. And for much of my career as a judge, and even before that, even before being in the Justice Department, and in addition, even as a lawyer in private practice, I've been concerned about getting access to attorneys so that lawyers, so that people who need help with their individual circumstances can have assistance. The President issued an executive order on this. We have, and there is a report, I'm not positive whether it's public, but I believe it is, with respect to reinvigorating the roundtable, whose job it is to address this question, of which I believe I'm a co-chair. I asked for a review within the department, and we have determined that we should stand up once again an independent, within the department, Office of Access to Justice. We have enough money to do that in the very short term, but our, not to talk too much about requests for money, but our FY22 budget request does ask for a significant appropriation so that we can stand up a staff and get that office going.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Attorney General. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Coons. The committee is going to stand in recess for 5 minutes. When we return, Senator Cotton is up if he is here. If not, Senator Kennedy.